Holding by himself. 13 seconds left to go. To Quinn Taylor, over to Perry. Aggies need a bucket in the West Way. Merrill lines up the three. Holding. And got it! Sam Merrill buries the three, and the Aggies are up 4. 77-73. 30 seconds left to go. Straightaway three. Lines up, it's missed. And got it! Sam Merrill buries the three, and the Aggies are up 4. 77-73. 30 seconds left to go. Straightaway three. Lines up, it's missed. And got it! Sam Merrill buries the three, and the Aggies are up 4. 77-73, 30 seconds left to go. Straightaway three. Lines up, it's missed. And got it! Sam Merrill buries the three, and the Aggies are up 4. 77-73, 30 seconds left to go. Straightaway three. Lines up, it's missed. And got it! Sam Merrill buries the three, and the Aggies are up 4. 77-73, 30 seconds left to go. Straightaway three. Lines up, it's missed. And got it! Sam Merrill buries the three, and the Aggies are up 4. 77-73, 30 seconds left to go. Straightaway three. Lines up, it's missed. And got it! Sam Merrill buries the three, and the Aggies are up 4. 77-73, 30 seconds left to go. Straightaway three. Lines up, it's missed. And got it! Sam Merrill buries the three, and the Aggies are up 4. 77-73, 30 seconds left to go. Straightaway three. Lines up, it's missed. And got it! Sam Merrill buries the three, and the Aggies are up 4. 77-73, 30 seconds left to go. Straightaway three. Lines up, it's missed. And got it! Sam Merrill buries the three, and the Aggies are up 4. 77-73.
All right, that's Scott Gerard with the call of last night's game. Utah State picking up a big-time win over Boise State in the Mountain West Conference Tournament.
Aggies,
that's
Scott Gerard
coming in, pulling off the upset. Call of last night's game. Utah State picking up a big
preview show,
not pregame show, because Scotty's going to have that
in
tonight.
the Mountain West Conference Tournament. That's Scott Gerard
Coming in, Utah State as they get set to take on New Mexico this evening. I'm Jaden Johnson, joined here by
Daniel Hansen,
Jason Walker.
We are live set to take on Las Vegas, Nevada, New Mexico. For all of today's events. Evening. I'm Jaden Johnson, joined here. A lot of fun by my goodness, what a game that was last night. We are live set to take on Las Vegas, Nevada, New Mexico. For all of today's events. I'm Jaden Johnson, joined here. A lot of fun by my goodness, what a game that was last night. We are live set to take on Las Vegas, Nevada, New Mexico. For all of today's events. I'm Jaden Johnson, joined here. A lot of fun by my goodness, what a game that was last night. We are live set to take on Las Vegas, Nevada, New Mexico. All of today's events. I'm Jaden Johnson, joined here. A lot of fun by my goodness, what a game that was last night. We are live set to take on Las Vegas, Nevada, New Mexico. All of today's events. I'm Jaden Johnson, joined here. A lot of fun by my goodness. What a game that was last night. We are live set to take on Las Vegas, Nevada, New Mexico. All of today's events. I'm Jaden Johnson, joined here. My goodness. What a game that was last night. We are live set to take on Las Vegas, Nevada, New Mexico. All of today's events. I'm Jaden Johnson, joined here. My goodness. What a game that was last night. We are live set to take on Las Vegas, Nevada, New Mexico. All of today's events. I'm Jaden Johnson, joined here. We are live set to take on Las Vegas, Nevada, New Mexico. All of today's events. I'm Jaden Johnson, joined here. We are live set to take on Las Vegas, Nevada, New Mexico. All of today's events. I'm Jaden Johnson, joined here. We are live set to take on Las Vegas,
look like they had a firm grasp. Somehow, some way, pull off that stunning upset.
In the end, you run out of words to describe it. because, yeah, just like you said, it felt like this game was
somehow, some way, pull off that
went down
starting
early
upset.
again. In the end, you run out of words. You were down 17-7 early on. Yeah, just like in the end, you run out of words. You were down 17-7 early on.
The Broncos started. They started on an 8-0 run,
And then
concluded that 29, and then the Aggies clawed their way back, 24-19, and then Boise State again goes on another run, and they lead 36-23 for their largest lead of the game. And at that point, I think all of us were all sitting on press row together, and we're looking at each other just like, okay, I guess we're packing tonight. We're gonna head home tomorrow. Boise State's a good team. Chandler Hutchinson hadn't done much to that point. It was all Lexus Williams and Snellfelter and a couple other guys for the Broncos. And so we thought Hutchinson's definitely got to come back in this game. He's got to start forcing himself. It looked like the Aggies didn't have much of a chance to come to victory. And again, just gutsy victory, pulled out everything they needed to there in the closing minutes. Just a stunning victory. Like we couldn't even compute how they really did it on press row, but I mean, we witnessed it. They had to have done it, I guess.
Sorry for any technical difficulties, those of you joining us via Aggie Radio rather than via our stream on YouTube. I know Aggie Radio was having a couple technical difficulties, but we are back up and should be good. We're down here in Las Vegas. We're the Aggie Radio and the Utah Statesman Sports crew, Jaden Johnson, Jason Walker, Daniel Hansen, down here in Vegas, talking about Utah State's gutsy performance last night in a victory over Boise State, and heading to their very first ever Mountain West Conference semifinal today, where they're going to take on New Mexico this evening. So we're just kind of talking about the tournament as a whole, and starting off with Utah State's performance last night, which you guys have said it was gutsy, it was incredible. I mean, going into that game, we talked about it before the game, and none of us really had much faith, even though Utah State had held Boise close before, and you know there were a few reasons to think that they could be close. It was just hard to comprehend that they could possibly come out with a victory. Let's just talk about the emotions throughout that game, and from the start, you know, getting down to a really rough start. I think they went down, what, 11-2 at the beginning?
8-0 run to start for Boise.
An 8-0 run.
20-9.
So, I mean, let's just talk about the emotions from the beginning to the end of that game and what that was like.
Well, first of all, I want to say I did predict the Aggie victory yesterday as part of our Facebook Live show.
Give him
but even
credit.
then, afterwards, we were all saying there's a chance, but we don't really think that the Aggies can really pull this off. We didn't think it was going to be that great of a chance to do it. But then just that game, just the emotion, the intensity of it, all the times that the Aggies were just down on the floor with Boise State ready to just deliver the kill shot. And then they got back up, Undertaker gift times 20, and just kept battling back. And then that Sam Merrill 3 there at the end. Like, we had a really good view of that one, and it looked good at the moment it left his hands. Like, that was, like, the moment of the tournament so far.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, during this game, I don't know if I've ever had a moment in my life where my heart has stopped and is racing at the exact same moment. It's just that game was just so insane. And, you know, again, being on press row, like, I've never had a moment where I'm not supposed to cheer, and I almost couldn't stop myself just because this game was so exciting, and I was just loving the whole thing.
It was tough. We played at the beginning of the show a clip from the great Scott Gerard in the call of the game. I know that, again, we did have some technical difficulties, so we'll play it again at the end, and you can hear just the emotion in Scott's voice, the emotion of the crowd, and it was a wild finish. I mean, you saw Sam work off a screen, get wide open up top, go up, and one of the best three-point shooters in the country, not just the conference, in the country, go up and deliver in the clutch. And one of my favorite quotes from post-game wasn't from any of the players. It wasn't from any of the coaches. It was from a media member in the media room talking about Sam Merrill, and he said, "That guy looks like he should be in the band, but he is one heck of a player." I mean, what, he had 28 points? I'm pulling up the stats right now. Was it 28 points?
Yeah, 28 points
in that win.
7 of 10 from 3.
Just a gutsy performance. I mean, 7 of 10 from 3, 8 of 15 from the field, 5 assists, a steal, 5 rebounds. I mean, Sam Merrill did it all. Kobe McEwen, when you look at his final stats, they're decent. He had 14 points, 6 assists, 8 rebounds. That's a good stat line. I did get the feeling throughout the game he was kind of struggling, especially defensively. There were some times where I was like, well, Kobe's not on his game. But you know what? At the end of the game, when it really mattered, all of a sudden he stepped it up. And Kobe came away with a nice performance and was a big contributor in the win.
Well, 10 points in the final 10 minutes from McEwen. He was one of the main sources of offense.
Meaning he had 4 points before that last 10 minutes.
Like Boise State really had corralled him for most of the game. And we thought going into this was going to be the McEwen versus Chandler Hutchison show, and neither of them really kind of busted through. But McEwen then had a couple moments there at the end. He had 3. He actually had a couple threes there, a couple drives. Of course, that foul shot that got them the 3-point lead on the final possession there really turned it on. Going back to your point on Merrill, though, dude ranks 11th in the country in 3-point percentage right now, which, first of all, that's phenomenal for a sophomore to be doing. But it's also, he only needs 3 more threes in this upcoming game, and then he'll have the second most made threes in a season in Aggie history, behind only the great J.C. Carroll, who I don't know if anybody's going to get to his like 116 that he got, but if somebody does, it's probably going to be Merrill. The guy's unbelievable. That last shot you spoke about with coming off the screen, just that is one of the most clutch shots in Aggie history.
I've watched the replay about 100 times since last night. It just gives me goosebumps every time. Now let's talk about what unfolded after that. There was a lot. That shot was with, what, 15 seconds to go?
24 seconds.
24 seconds to go.
You had 3 turnovers in the next 5 seconds.
The last 24 seconds of that game was one of the wildest stretches of basketball. Some of the worst calls. I mean, I tweeted it last night. I hate to be these refs are awful guy. But let's be honest. There was some atrocious calls. Scott Gerard in that call, you heard him say the jump ball that was called in just a matter of maybe half a second of both players having their hand on the ball. One, I think I have a problem with the jump ball rule in college basketball and how they do it all. But there was a jump ball that was way too premature. There was an out of bounds, which everybody with eyes watching the replay could see that it was off of Boise State. A Boise State player had their foot out of bounds, and it went, of course, to Boise State. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Everyone's saying maybe the refs were trying to get Boise State in the championship game. Maybe they were. But there was just a wild stretch. And then Utah State, after all that adversity, still comes away with a win.
Well, after that Merrill 3, so he hit it with 31 seconds left. And after that, Boise State missed a 3, got the rebound, and then scored with 24 seconds left. Then in the next 5 seconds, you had a turnover by Merrill, which was then stolen back by Merrill from Boise State, and then another turnover by McEwen, and then a missed jumper from Hutchison. McEwen grabs a rebound, and then we're getting into the free throw game. Holy shoot. Like that, like if you're looking at like a definition of March.
Yeah, it was wild.
The final 24 seconds here is March.
Well, when I was cutting the audio clip, I look at it, and with 24 seconds left, you'd think that from that point to the end of the game, that would be, even in a slow game, that would be maybe like 3, 4, 5 minutes. It was like a 15-minute stretch. I mean, it just dragged on, call after call, timeout after timeout, and at the end, the good guys came out on top. It was a lot of fun. Good game to watch, and I think we saw a lot from this Utah State team as far as fighting through adversity goes. And as far as just, having one being led by a couple of sophomores, and then 2 having the grittiness, having the toughness to say, look, I don't care if we've trailed for 35 minutes of this game or whatever it was, we're going to win it. That's impressive to me. Yeah,
definitely. I think just one of the biggest things, we talked so much about the offense, but I think the defense also deserves so much credit, and especially on Hutchison, and also Alexis Williams. In the first half, Alexis Williams was going off, and he ended up with 24 points in this game. Off. But one of the biggest stats to me is in the final 10 minutes, 55 seconds, Alexis Williams had 0 points. And in the second half, Williams...
Including a missed game winner.
Hutchison had the game, yeah.
At the end, well, there was a couple of opportunities, and he had one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, they just went ice cold, and Alexis Williams was, 3 of 10 in the second half. Hutchison was 3 of 12, like a combined 27% from those two. So just amazing defense, really all around, not just in the perimeter.
Well, we talked in Colorado State game, the Aggies went on that 71-45 run after Colorado State started 20-5, and then this game, Boise State started on that 29 run. After that, they only got 55 points over the next 33 minutes. Yeah. That's a solid defensive showing. The Aggies, I think that's a testament, one, that Duryea kind of knows what he's doing a little bit. At least with some in-game adjustments defensively, he's able to really key in on what a team is doing and take it away from them. We've seen that twice now in this tournament, and Utah State's going to have to do that again in this next game against New Mexico.
So after Utah State's game against Boise State, there was the other quarterfinal game to determine Utah State's opponent. That was New Mexico and Wyoming. There were a lot of Wyoming fans in the stands cheering for Utah State. When asked about it, Kobe McEwen said, I don't have the direct quote, but something along the lines of, yeah, we know why they were cheering. They don't want to face us.
Yeah, I just
so they were cheering for Utah State. It turns out it doesn't matter because Wyoming lost. So New Mexico defeats Wyoming 85-75. Utah State will play New Mexico tonight. Let's take a look at New Mexico. New Mexico, they are the 3 seed in the tournament. And on the season, they're sitting at 18-14. However, they've really been quite good in Mountain West play. The last handful of games, so they defeated, of course, Wyoming. The last game of the season, they defeated Fresno State 95-86. Before that, Colorado State 118-87. Before that, they defeated UNLV 91-90. Before that, Wyoming 119-114. Before that, defeated Utah State. So they ended the season on a 6-game winning streak. And then before that, a loss to Air Force, 192. So it's a team that's on fire. They've won now 7 in a row after last night's win. When you look at this, the 2 teams split the season series. But when you look at it, what's the biggest things you're looking at, and how's Utah State going to have a chance at this one?
The biggest thing, I mean, with these 2 teams, we get a lot of information from the past 2 meetings. They had 2 meetings, one in Logan, one in Albuquerque, and the home team won both of those occasions. When in Logan, Utah State won 89-80. They looked really good. That was, of course, McEwen's probably his best game of the season. 31 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, and a couple steals as well. The Aggies shot well from 3. They basically just outplayed New Mexico on every aspect of the game, even though New Mexico was playing really well. They went down to Albuquerque, and most of that carried over. They still shot well. They still did pretty well. But they had 23 turnovers and just could not get an offensive rhythm because of that. And then, of course, lost, I think, 78-65.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, of those 23, 13
78-63.
Oh, yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah, 13 of those 23 turnovers came from Sam and Kobe. So obviously it doesn't matter where those turnovers are coming from, but from their big players. And then Kobe, I think he only played 20-something minutes. He was in foul trouble. 24 minutes. Was in foul trouble. Only took 5 shots in the game. So while he was able to have a big impact in the game we won, he was virtually not there due to foul trouble for the Aggies in that loss. So, like you said, we played well in both games. It just came down to turnovers.
Well, one thing that there were a lot of good tidbits from after the game, both in interviews and just things that we got from the team. One of the things that I really like is talking to Utah State's sports information director, Kyle Cottom. He said that after the game, he was in the locker room. He was expecting, the doors to break down and everyone come in celebrating. They just defeated the number 2 team in the conference, going to the semifinals for the first time ever. He said that they walked in and there was a little bit of celebration, but they were all business. And, there's teams always say that. Teams always say, it's just a quarterfinal. We've got bigger fish to fry. But, the fact that they were actually doing that they acted like they'd been there. And then you're listening to one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard from Sam Merrill. He said, I didn't grow up wanting to win quarterfinal games. Of course it was a big win. Of course there was a lot of momentum there, and it was great for the program, and all the fans were excited. But it was a quarterfinal game, and this team has moved on. They're ready, I think, for tonight. I really, really like that mentality.
Well, they better be ready because we've seen now 2 straight games. They've kind of come out a little bit slow out of the gates. Granted, against Boise State, I don't think that was Utah State's fault. It was just Boise couldn't miss a single thing on the court. They could have shot
Utah State couldn't do anything offensively either. A lot of turnovers there in the first few minutes, and I mean, defensively maybe, offensively there was a lot of things that Utah State could have done.
They weren't playing perfect, but they weren't exactly not doing well. They had 9 points.
When you get down 11-2, that means that you have 5 to 6 possessions that you only turned into 2 points, which is a slow start offensively.
They turned it around, though. My point is Boise State was the biggest reason that they went down. They can't really do that against New Mexico and get away with it. Like Duryea was saying in the postgame press conference, you don't get away with those slow starts that often. And they've gotten away now with them twice against Colorado State and against a really good Boise State team. New Mexico, though, if you get behind them, that full court press is a daunting thing to have to face for 40 minutes. And if they get momentum going early, it steamrolls, which we saw when they got on a roll in the second half down in Albuquerque and just started to steamroll the Aggies down there.
Now, I want to take a look at New Mexico, and for this is a team I know a lot of people haven't followed super closely. They've kind of been an under-the-radar team in the Mountain West. But let's take a look at some of their statistics and where they rank nationally in a few different categories. Now, the first thing you need to know is they're a very, very fast-paced team. 82.4 points per game. That's 25th in the nation, 3rd in the Mountain West Conference. While they score a lot per game, they allow a lot. They allow 77.8, which is 303rd in the nation, 8th in the Mountain West. So you're going to see very quick tempo from New Mexico. They're going to try and control the pace throughout, and that should be a very big thing. 3-point field goal attempts, 8th in the nation in three-point field goal attempts. And in 3-point field goals made per game, 6th in the nation, 11 per game. So that's just a ridiculous number. They make 11 per game. They shoot about 37.8%. That's 55th in the nation, 4th in the conference. So they do it efficiently. They do it well. They're a very bad rebounding team. Rebounds per game, they rank 333rd in the nation out of 349 teams. 339 teams. So, bottom 10 in the nation. 31.6 per game. And so it's how you're going to beat this team is not going to be by outrunning them. It's not going to be by just putting up a crap load of points, because that doesn't happen. We saw the 116-point game a few weeks ago. It's going to be by out-rebounding them and by controlling the pace of the game.
Yeah, I really think that controlling the pacing is going to be huge, because when New Mexico, when they score under 70 points per game, I think they're 0-6. Yeah, they're 0-6 when scoring is less than 6. I think it's less than 70. So they depend on scoring. They have to score in order to win games. Their defense is just going to let people score. They're just depending on that three-point shooting. And so it's just going to be key to defending the perimeter and stopping especially one guy, Anthony Mathis, who we talk about Sam Merrill being top in the country in terms of three-point percentage. Mathis is 4th. He's shooting, I think, like 49% on the year, somewhere around there. He's shooting 54% in the last 7 games. So he's just an awesome three-point shooter. And in those 2 games against the Aggies, he was 6 of 10 in the first one, 7 of 10 in the next, both of which were career highs at the time in three-point made field goals for him in a single game. So in 2 games against the Aggies this year, he's shooting 13 of 20 from 3.
I do want to put out one more stat quickly that I didn't get to in that quick number rant, but this is maybe the biggest number that Utah State needs to watch for. New Mexico is 6th in the nation in turnover margin. They take care of the ball, and they force a lot of turnovers. They force 16.75 turnovers per game, which is 9th in the nation. And in turnover margin, 4.3 in New Mexico's favor. So on average, they turn the ball over 4.5 times less than their opponents. Big number there.
That's going to be really the key to the game. Because New Mexico is just a full-court defensive team, you do have to attack that. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for Utah State to break that press and hopefully get some easy opportunities, either shots in the corner or just straight-up layups. Now, we saw them struggle a lot against Boise State's press in that last game, so that's going to be something that Duryea is going to be hammering home a lot today in preparation for that game. But it's also, I want to point out a name here that's, I think, going to make a huge difference here, and that's Julian Perry. He didn't really play in either of the 2 games against New Mexico this season. He played, I think, a total of 5 minutes down in Albuquerque. He's now played 30 minutes in the past 2 games. Mm-hmm. He's on fire right now. I think he's 7 of 12 in the conference tournament, and he is a guy that Duryea can trust with the ball to make good decisions. That's going to be a huge factor in this game, I think, having that extra kind of release valve. And I think you're going to see another big game from Perry tonight.
Julian's he's been the big time leader, the senior leader of this team. He said I don't want my career to end, and he's playing like it. When you look at the two games that these two teams played, and this goes right back to that turnover stat, the biggest glaring difference, and we were talking about it before the show, 23 turnovers for Utah State in the loss to New Mexico. When they lost, they turned it over 23 times, and they only forced 9. When they won, they turned the ball over 13 times and forced 10. You're still negative in the turnover margin there, but if they can even keep it close, that's going to be big.
Well, New Mexico's offense they aren't designed for a half-court offense. They're designed to turn you over and get easy shots that way. So if Utah State can just maintain clean passing, another stat that was different there was the assist totals, 18 in the win, only 10 in the loss at Albuquerque. If they can have good ball movement, if they can have players like Brito, like Perry, like Isby if he's playing, if they can have these guys make smart decisions with the basketball, they should have plenty of opportunities to outscore the Lobos team.
Yeah, that's one of the things in the first half of both these games where we've been down big, there are so many stupid passes. And if they aren't making those silly passes either in the back court or the front court, or in the back court, front court. I forget all the basketball terminology. I should know this stuff. But if they can make those smart passes, limiting turnovers, I don't think they're going to win the turnover battle. If they do, then that's a really good sign. But just like in the win, where we were only like -3 on the turnovers, if we can keep it close, within 5 or so, then we should have a really good chance to win this game.
Okay, so we've got just a couple of minutes left. And so really quickly, I do want to go around the table, and let's get some predictions of what you think is going to happen tonight and a final score prediction.
So I think that New Mexico is going to come out shooting high. Like, the Aggies are not stopping teams early, and I think just with the trend, they're probably going to start hot early, make a lot of their early shots. I think that the Aggies will pull it in close, but again, maybe I just lack faith, but I think New Mexico is going to come out on top. I think the Aggies will manage to pull back in the second half again, but I think New Mexico is going to stay ahead of the Aggies for most of the second half.
So from where I sit, in both of the games that these two teams have played, Utah State has outshot New Mexico and done it by a pretty considerable margin. Utah State has done well against this team in a lot of categories except for turnovers. That's such a glaring difference. 23 turnovers to 9. There are no teams that could ever win. I mean, very few teams that could ever win a game when a turnover margin is like that. That said, I think that was an anomaly. I think that Utah State has done a good job the last few games taking care of the ball. I do think that they cleaned that up considerably. It's going to be a close one. And, we're in Vegas. I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to take the Utah State Aggies. I think they win it by somewhere around a score of 85 to 84.
I don't think my heart can handle that kind of game again.
I will probably not be here tomorrow because I'll be dead if that is the case.
And we won't be here by Saturday because we'll be dead or home. So either one of those two options.
I honestly don't think this is going to be a close game. I don't think either team's going to be able – I don't think it's going to be like a final possession kind of deal. I think either New Mexico is going to force their will and Utah State's going to have a lot of turnovers, Lobos will run away with it, or I think the Aggies are going to be able to play that really clean basketball and take advantage of the opportunities that New Mexico's full court press gives them. I think Utah State's actually going to do that. I think in that loss in Albuquerque, because of McEwen's foul trouble, because of other injuries, you saw a lot of minutes from a couple guys like Isby, like Crew Ainge, like Abel Porter, who frankly, if we're being honest, you don't want to have to put in as freshmen or as young, inexperienced guys to play a full court press defense like that. Now you've got Kobe McEwen, you've got Sam Merrill playing unbelievable basketball, you've got Julian Perry, you've got Dwayne Brown, who's had a really quiet, great tournament, and you got a couple other players who I think can step up and really make the plays the Aggies need to. I think they actually pull off even maybe a more stunning upset than yesterday, because I think they win like 82-64.
All right, that is it. That's our Utah State preview show as we get ready for Utah State versus New Mexico tonight. I'm really hoping that we're going to be back at it tomorrow. If Utah State is in the championship game, you better believe we'll be back on air for another preview show for that. But Utah State, again, tonight, 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time is when the pregame show will begin here on Aggie Radio with Scott Gerard. 9:30 p.m. is the tip-off in Mountain Time. So it's kind of a late game. Get ready. You'll be up till midnight watching this one, or listening/watching. It's on CBS Sports as well if you want to watch. But I'm looking forward to it. Should be a good time. Thanks for tuning in. Again, follow us on Twitter at Utah Statesman. We'll have all of your updates, and then we'll have links to our individual Twitter accounts. You can follow those as well. But we're going to have all kinds of coverage. I mean, last night I think we pumped out, 7 or 8 articles and just unbelievable amounts of coverage from this tournament. It's been a lot of fun. Hopefully we're back at it again tomorrow. So here's to a win. Go Aggies.
Go Aggies.
We're going to close you out here with the beautiful pipes of Scott Gerard. I played it at the beginning of the show, but it might have come across a little bit distorted, so this should work much better for us. We're going to close out with Scott Gerard and the final clips from the final couple of minutes of last night's game. If it doesn't give you goosebumps, I don't think you have a soul. Thanks for tuning in. Go Aggies.
Holding by himself. 13 seconds left to go. To Quinn Taylor, over to Perry. Aggies need a bucket in the West Way. Merrill lines up the three, and got it! Sam Merrill buries the three, and the Aggies are up 4. 77-73, 30 seconds left to go. Straightaway three, it's up, it's missed. Rebound, Haney. Haney's able to lay it up and in. Dak to a 2-point game with 24 seconds left to go. Dickinson waiting for somebody to clear. Ball nearly stolen away. It is. Sam Merrill comes up with a steal. Over to McEwen, and McEwen's going to get fouled. Sam Merrill, no! They call a jump ball? You got to be kidding me. All right. They're going to call a jump ball, and that possession will go back to Boise State with 16 seconds left. So they call it a jump ball. Sam Merrill comes up with the steal, gave it over to Kobe, and Kobe got tied up thinking he was going to get fouled. 15 seconds left. Aggies have to play defense. Hutchinson trying to drive on Merrill. Puts the shot up. Won't go. McEwen with the rebound. Now he's fouled. Now he's going to the free throw line. All right. McEwen has a chance to end this game with 2 free throws. Here comes free throw number 1. It's up. Back iron missed it. Now he needs this one just for the Aggies to be able to play the foul game. 7.6 seconds left. McEwen needs to hit this second free throw, then the Aggies can foul Boise State. Here comes free throw number 2. This one's critical, folks. McEwen. Free throw is up. Got it. Utah State ends the timeout. Here we go. Only a 3 brings us to overtime. Let's see what Utah State does. 7.6 seconds left. Chandler Hutchinson set to inbound. You do not want this thing going into OT. Inbound. Swing it over to Hutchinson. Hutchinson by himself. Hutchinson's going to step back. He takes the 3. It's off the back iron. He missed it, and it's over. Utah State wins it. 78-75. The Aggies celebrate. Unable to get the foul. Doesn't matter. Hutchinson's 3 goes awry, and the Aggies are in the semifinals of the Mountain West Conference Tournament. Final score, Utah State 78, Boise State 75. The Aggies get it done and advance. Survive and advance.
I could write you better song. like the ones I wrote when I was young. Write you a better song, like the ones I wrote when I was young. Stand up fast, get the blood to your head, and then